Hey everybody, hope you had a great trading day today. So what we're going to cover today, usually we cover about 20 stocks. I tried to whittle this down because what happened with the market today, I obviously got a lot of requests. So I'm at about 30 stocks and I want to go over the indexes too. So I'm going to try and speed it up a little bit, but there's some things that we really need to address on what's going on out there. So this is going to all be in, let's just make sure we do it ahead of time, make sure it's all in alphabetical order, and let's just jump right into it. So the first one is Amazon, and that's from before. And the first thing I would point out is, let's get rid of all these levels. Okay. And let's just look at what's transpired today. Okay. So here's my stock. Here's exactly where I closed, this little dotted line. Okay. See where that dotted line fits right here. See how that dotted line, we couldn't close there before and we opened there. That's where you opened. So this is not really, the best. What you're seeing is, if you clear this up, what you're seeing is you're going to see this little dragonfly, which is this bar right here. And I do get into this kind of detail for people that ask. You see this bar? So what it means is that at the end of the day, there was no more selling because candlesticks are price rejection. The wicks are, rather. And you're setting up to kind of go higher. What I would be interested in here, and solely for a trade, is if you got above this. Because getting above this, you could complete a Morningstar pattern that could take you up to here. And that's about 100 points. So while I don't think that this correction or pullback, whatever term you want to use, is done, it does not mean that you can't make money on the long side. You just have to be smart about it. I traded today and I had a great day. I mean, it was pretty clear that it was an undergap off the open after the first 5-10 minutes. But what you're seeing here is with Amazon, what you're seeing is you came right down to this level. You tested that support, and then what happened? So I would look for this Morningstar to complete. If you don't know what a Morningstar is, I'm going to link a video at the end of this, the candlestick video, for those that are new. I'd strongly suggest that you find time to watch it. The patterns are there, and they're very easy to read. So just something to consider. But I think you could get back to this. Now, that gets you out of this and possibly to re-challenge this. But this is a lot of work to do now. So it's not going to be as easy as before. You have a lot of people that are in here. This whole bar has been negated. So, I would just bide your time here. I think it's great that we closed above the 21 day, but, let's see some follow through before you get involved here. A lot of people are looking at ARK because we stayed above, I should say ARK K, because we stayed above the 50-day. That's fine. To me, all we did was go right back to where we closed, right? Where we opened, what our high was, and here we are again. I'm still behind the 200-day. When a market goes down, it just doesn't go straight down, okay? And that's what you have to realize. I'm going to make these lines just a little bit thicker. So, okay. So, and then we can get rid of this for a moment. You see this? That's a wedge line. So what you're seeing is, yeah, I could bounce up to the 200-day and then roll again. I could bounce up to the 21-day and roll again. What's my hurry here, right? Like, so when we bought in the newsletter, and there's a free guide to the newsletter in the description of this, it comes out weekly. The free version does. But when we bought this in the newsletter and we bought it through here, we came in, sold down, tested again, finally broke out of it and got above the 8-day, and then we got involved. I have none of that happening here. All I have is a stock that hasn't broken this 50-day yet, but give it time. It didn't break the 200 here the first time. It rallied back up, right? And so I would argue that the majority of people that are messaging and talking to me or emailing are in a big hurry here to get back involved, to get more money back out of the market that they lost, to recoup their gains or recoup their losses. It doesn't work that way. And I would argue that you need to spend some time and really reevaluate what's going on here. This ARK is a major technology ETF. It is below the 200-day moving average. This is irrefutable. Just pay attention to moves like this. I would not be rushing into this. This is interesting, and this is setting up a little bit. Now, what I like about this is I really like how you hit the 8 and the 21 and both weren't violated, right? But you are forming a possible wedge break here, and you really have nothing else above you, right? Like you see like this ARK trade, how you have, you have this, you're breaking down, you have all these moving averages, you have a resistance up here. You have a lot of nonsense that you have to deal with. You don't have any of that here, right? So I like this, and I think that this could work if there's follow through tomorrow. You don't have to be in the first day. You can wait for them to move. Now, to me, seeing this, okay, I like this. I like this move, and I would look for it to pop above that 8-day and break, and then maybe you retest the 69.30 level, and it goes through now. You did not break this breakout bar, right? You went right to it. Do you see that level? Look at that. That's beautiful. You went right to it. It's perfect. It's exactly what you want to see. So this is ASAN, and I like this, and I could see why you'd want to look at this. It might be interesting just to see how much volume's actually up here in this range, just to take a look. Yeah, you basically hit that little shelf of volume, and then you went higher. So that's a good sign. I like this. I could see doing a trade in that. BNTX. This is one that we have from the newsletter. I think we're in the newsletter at what, 219. This is no great secret now because it's already out. But I was watching 241 very closely. The volume that came through the other day was huge. So let's just get into this. You are respecting all your moving averages. You're pointing up, and you broke out today, and your volume's increasing. It's everything you want to see. The biggest issue that I saw today that made me somewhat concerned about these levels was this. And I'm just going to point this out very quickly. Okay, this came out of nowhere. And I want to pull this up because I want to show you this for a reason so that you can use this on your own. So this is just a 5-minute chart. You see this red line? See that? See how I have a moving average line down here? See how that red spike this just came out of nowhere. Now, if you really want to drill down onto what that 5 minutes look like, you can actually do it on a 1 minute and see what happened. So when you see something like that, that is somebody testing the waters to see how much stock they can get out of. Okay, I'll say that again so that you can remember it. When you see something like this, that is somebody testing the waters, trying to see how much stock they can get out of. Okay, they're just hitting the bid, and they hit it with probably, it looks like 28,000 shares. They just sold a block of it just to see what would happen. Well, that's what happened. So that's letting you know that you may have an issue here and that this might be a little toppy. So you're going to have to watch this. If you look at this chart, you're not going to see that, right? But sometimes you have to dig a little deeper and just look at these just a little bit closer. And that's my concern here. My concern was this wick. Why a wick? Why not continue to follow through today? Towards the end of the day, this is, if you're not rallying now when they're talking about Delta variant and everything, and I'm not knocking the move, don't get me wrong. We made 6% today. I'm more 6.5%. I'm more than happy, but you need to watch that level, and you need to watch what's going on here. Personally, I think in time, it might come back down, test, and then go. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I wouldn't buy it here. You're too overextended in too short a period of time, and I think you can get up to this level eventually, but I think you're going to have to build a base in here for a while, and this could be basing. See, like you have to look, because all these charts are telling you a story. See where this wick is? See how there's wicks all in here? Right? So this time's no different. So just pay attention to things like that. And if you're more of a short-term trader, this is probably where you wanted to let it go a little bit. Very much like NVAX, and we'll get to that one as well. So I wouldn't be chasing that here. I do like it, but I wouldn't be chasing it. So CELH, I just want to touch base on. So this is right where they did that secondary. If we all remember, they did that secondary at 62.5. I don't think it's ready for prime time, and I'm just going to walk through why. Okay. I have somebody that's interested in buying this, and I just want to be very clear with them. You see this big red down day? See the follow through? And then we do the under gap, which is what today was, right? They under gap you down to flush you out and then get you to rally. Now everyone starts buying again, thinking that they're fine. Well, where do we close? Right on that line, right? And now look at your indicators. So it's not really that you're out of the woods at all. So this is not something I'd be rushing into. This was one day. And when bottoms get sorted, they usually don't end like this. It's usually more of a moderate that builds. This was not a moderate build for this market at all. This was just, sell down rally. And these fast rallies are very, very common in periods of pullbacks and corrections. So just understand that. You trade them, you get in, you get out, but you don't hang out very long. So I would wait on this. What would get me interested? Get me above the 50-day. Just to start, and I could get interested. I like this company. It's a great company. Earnings are not for a while, and sometimes it goes up on earnings, and sometimes it goes down. But it's a great little company, and they're crushing it as far as I know from what I am reading. Now, in regards to DDD, so let's get rid of this for a moment and just look at this on a wider basis, and let's move this line out. So I've gone down every day since June 30th, just down, right? I don't know why we would think it's going to stop today is the way that I would argue it, right? What could stop today is that we might not break the 50-day. Does that get me into this? Not at all. I have the 8 crossing the 50. I have the 21 pointing down. I mean, is there a trade here? Sure. There's a trade on a lot of these with a lot of like Morningstar setups and these little gaps of wedges that will take you from 26.5 up to 29.5 if that's what you're looking for. But if you're thinking that, oh, it's all clear now because we got to the 200-day, I don't feel that way. So I would argue that it's something that, just with DDD, continue to watch. This just doesn't go away and just all of a sudden miraculously get better unless news hits. DKNG, look, all these charts are starting to look the same, aren't they? Right? But some are a little bit different. So let's get rid of all these lines for a moment. And let's get rid of this as well because that's not really that relevant. What's relevant is this. So here's your 200-day. Right? You broke down, you tried to rally through it, you were unable to, you gapped down, everybody buys it. I think this is when they issued like that nasty short seller report, and then it just gapped up and just ran. I love when they issue those reports. It's always a decent buying opportunity. But you see how it runs right back up? I mean, there's 20% there just on that guy's report. So I would just argue when these guys on Twitter or these services issue short reports, you want to be on the other side of the trade, at least on the short term. Usually what they're writing is not very accurate. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing this rotate and break down. Now, what I do like is how this green bar encapsulates this entire red bar. I do like that. What does that mean? Maybe we're going to try and bottom here. Maybe you could use this as a pivot piece. Maybe. But you just happen to close right where that open was. It's not very exciting. And I have the 200 pointing down and the 21 and the 50 and the 8. What's your hurry here? Like, there should be really no hurry to jump into this. So I would hold off on this. You could get a bounce, but what's going to bounce this stock up to get me through all of this? I just don't see it. So again, we're starting to see a pattern here. Here's DMTK, and we can get rid of these lines, right? And let's get rid of all this as well. And let's just look at what's going on. So you undercut, right? Let's pull this in the middle. Let's open this up for those that are on their mobile. So look, you don't get above the 200. Yes, you completely encapsulate this whole week. That's usually very huge when you encapsulate like 4 or 5 days, right? So could this run? Sure. But where's it going? Right? Like, I mean, that's the whole thing here. Where is this really going? It's not going anywhere big. It might trade back to this 38 level, 39 level. But until you have like an earnings event or some other event, I don't see it. Could it hold this level and build? Sure. And you could have a $3 or $4 point trade in this, but this is not ready to head back to $48. You need to start seeing these stocks break out on real volume. This is not real volume. This is very light volume, not even average volume. So just consider that. Docu, there's a bunch of people that are looking at this, dying to get back into it. I get it. I see it. What you need to do is exactly what I need to do. Okay. Couldn't close over that level. Couldn't close over that level. Couldn't close over that level. What am I going to say? Couldn't close over that level. Where are we today? What am I going to look for before I get involved with this, right? I'm going to wait for it to close above there. And maybe there's a trade there tomorrow where you can look at this and get involved with it. Maybe, right? Get in ahead of time before something like that happens, before the close, using your chart patterns and some of the other stuff that we've gone over. But I want it to close over this. So if I buy this on a trade and it doesn't close over that line, I'm out. I do like the action today, right? This is where you start finding leaders on pullbacks, right? Like, yeah, we held the 21 day. That's great. Yeah, we held that. That's great. I don't want to own this for 10 points, right? I'm trying to own this to get back in this trading range so that I can go up another 50, 70 points. That's what I'm trying to get. So I'm willing to wait for it to confirm and not have to worry about this little nonsense, right? Getting in here, rejecting again, building a flag. I want to see it confirm. So yes, this is on my radar. If you look at the volume today, and let's just look at relative volume for a minute, okay, you'll see very clearly that it was hardly even average volume on this, okay? So one day does not make a market, in my opinion. So yes, this is on my radar for those asking. I do like Docu. I do think eventually it breaks out. I'm not in a big hurry here. So FedEx, you're just basically riding this wedge line down. That's all you're doing, right? And you gap below it. Now this is nice because here's your major line, right? Here's your 200. I gap below it and I close at the high. You could be running here, but where am I going again? I'm going to go to this 50 day. What would make me think that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I mean, you want to count all these too? 10? The last 10 times it was unable to get through the 50 day. Why is it getting through, on a Thursday? It's not going to happen. So let it prove itself before you commit capital to it is really where I'm going with that. Okay. FLGT, somebody in our community just nailed this today and she was just dead right. And I got to tell you, it was a great move. Like, look at this chart. You bounced off the 200 day. You're dealing with a company that's dealing in the genetic space, right? And what's really interesting about it is you're in a position where what we're talking about with these variants and what's going on, I don't want to get into it because I'm not a doctor, but you're starting to see the vaccine stocks bid up. You've seen these kinds of companies bid up a little bit. This was an excellent play. So here you're bouncing off of this. You went through the 50 day, you went through the 8, and you tried to close over the 21. My argument now, if you wanted to be in this, and I think that this could set up and push, there's a couple key levels that you have to watch. And I don't think this trade's over. And I'm just going to point out a couple things. Okay. So first off, you see how my volume is above average? And then you can kind of quantify that by looking at relative volume. Okay. So my relative volume here is 1.67, which is higher than what we just looked at with Docu, right? So just to kind of put it in perspective. Okay, so we know that our volume's higher. We know that we're running on the 200 day, the 50, right? We got all that. We know there's a line that we put right here for a reason, and we can see that line. right? We could see how it hits that line over and over again. Here's that red bar down. Here's where it tries to get through it, right? This was support. Support flipped to what? Resistance, right? We get through resistance. It tries to hold that line. It can't. Tries again. Flips again. Here we are. We just happen to close there again, right? So now you are above this downward trend line, okay? And you have another trend line that's right here. If you get above this trend line or you get above the higher high here, you could actually try this trade, okay? And then you could see this trade push possibly through this, okay? And then up to this level. So there's levels to this trade. I like it. And I just want to go through a couple other things. Look at this with volume by price, okay? And I think this is very important. So let's just dig into this, okay? Okay, here's your point of control. I never closed below it, okay? Here's your VWAP. I've only closed below VWAP, what? 1, 2 times, okay? 3, okay? Since what? Since April, I've only closed above it 3 times over here. So, you know, watch these levels. That's significant. When you can read that and see that, it's significant, right? So, and I mean, you can see why that would be something that you need to watch. So I really like this, this trade, and I think it can work. GPS. So, you know, a lot of people are looking at retail, and to me, I don't see it right now on these names. Like the retail sales came out, right? And they crushed, and the stocks went down. Stocks going down on good news is not where you want to be. It's not where you want to be putting your money. So I like that you held here. You know, we're going to leave the volume by price in for a little bit and see what it shows us. It's a great way for you to get used to it. This blue line denotes how far back the volume by price is going. But you see this VWAP line right here? Look at that. Here's your point of control. Look how we broke that, and that was the end of it. I don't need to catch this. If I wanted to try to catch this, this is how I would do it. I would use this high. I'd wait for me to break above the VWAP, and then I'd buy it. But I don't think you're getting past point of control. So you're really buying it with a 27, 28 in mind, and then you're trying to get above to the 32 level. Maybe it happens, but if you're looking for 4 or 5 points, it's probably there. And your stop has to be the low of this. So you're really looking at $28. You're basically looking at $1.50 risk for $5. So it's 3.5, 3. I mean, I could see somebody doing that trade, but this is not shaping up to be this monumental stock that you have to get in. I mean, look at this downward trend that you're dealing with. It's not something that you really want to spend a lot of time with. And, you know, I'm a little surprised by that because like here, like just look at this. So like this is the XLY, right? This is the consumer discretionary, basically retail, right? This is all breaking down after those earnings. It like you got to the top of this chart and you broke down, and now you're hitting you're breaking the 8, the 21. So that sector, you know, yes, you bounced today off the 50-day and you had volume come in. Maybe it lasts in that sector, but I don't know. I'm not chasing retail right now. That's not, you know, that's not where I want to be. In regards to INMD, so I like what's going on here, and let's just clean this out, and let's just point at this for a moment. See how you came down and you tested that break area today, and you didn't break that? That's really what you're looking for. You know, it's really what you're looking for. And I know that people aren't going to want to wait until they get here, right? So there's a really simple way that you can do this. You see how you have these closes over here? All you're going to use is the tip of that evening star. So here's your evening star. Okay. If you don't close above this level, that tip, see how you stopped here? If you don't close above that level, you probably don't want to be in the trade because it just means it's going to need more time. But that at least gets you in the trade, and then you can kind of play around with that level and see how it goes. But that's your key level for this. And I like this. Anything like right now, you know, it's interesting. I had a gentleman I was talking to today, and he was saying, you know, do you start looking differently at stocks, you know, that are beaten down because you don't want to be buying stocks because you can't use the 8-day moving average right now? I can use the 8-day moving average just fine right now, right? Does that mean that there's other chart patterns that could work in this kind of market? Absolutely. Like double bottoms, M bottoms. There's all kinds of stuff that you could be trading off of what happened today. And we'll have a ton of ideas probably in the next week or two. But the staple of wanting to make sure that the stock is above an 8-day moving average, if that's like one of your criteria, you don't change your criteria because of what the market's doing. You just go find stocks that are doing it. And you have a litany of them that are breaking out right now. But what I really like about this, to get back to it, how they keep walking us up and how we're not breaking anything. I mean, you're not breaking anything. So you break to the high of this. See how you couldn't do it here? To break to the high of this could keep going. But you're going to have to watch this level. You got to watch and make sure you get to that 112 in the wick. If you don't, you're going to fall back down. But you might not want to wait for that break, so you can use that 106.47 level. I don't want to do the Russell yet. We're going to get through more stocks. So here you are with Kellogg. I'm just going to touch base on this really quickly. Look, these stocks, they're going to go up fast, and if this market reverses, they're going to come down just as fast. But you're hitting point of control, right? Your VWAP's down here. You're breaking this line. You have no volume while you're doing it, and you can't get above the 50-day. So before I'd buy this, I'd want to be above that 65.50 level and then see a push. But I don't see a big rush here. So obviously, Lake, L-A-K-E, people are familiar with this name from last year. This is when you had the big runs. People were, I guess they do something with mask delivery. And I guess people are thinking that that's all going to come back, or they're going to play that trade. You had huge volume today, enormous volume. Usually when you have volume like this, you follow through. Whether you follow through 2.5 times average daily volume, whether you follow through tomorrow or the next day remains to be seen. But I would tell you that you're probably heading towards this 26.32 level, which is the 200-day, to challenge that. And if you get through that, you'd go to point of control, which is 28. I'm in no hurry to buy this. I'm not really sure how these trades are going to play out. And it's one of the reasons why I was telling people today that, cash is not the worst idea. So the reason I'm saying that, and the reason I'm so big on saying that with cash, is you just simply don't know what's going to happen here. Everybody's buying the VAX stocks, but tomorrow they could go down, right? Something could come out. We just don't know. And you have a lot of uncertainty now, and I would just recommend that you understand that. As quick as this goes up, it can come down, just like it did here. Now, obviously, you're not as sold here, but to think that all of a sudden this is going to go back to this level, this is why people are buying it, and you think that all of a sudden you're going to go back up 50%, which would be a double, it's not happening, right? It's not happening. We're never going to get to this level again. Right? This kind of euphoria where everybody had to be in these. So that's not really going to happen. This is one that we've been trading and we're doing really well with, obviously. I mean, that doesn't really tell you a lot, but I just want to point something out on mRNA, and I'm going to leave the fibs in. But you see this little line? You see how when you pop above these lines, when you break these lines, you can go parabolic, and that's exactly what happened. This broke out and was just telling you that something was coming, and then guess what? They added to the S&P, and now look, right? So what do you do with this now? You cannot chase this, right? To me, the next level that this is going to is this 350 level. If you truly want to play this, you have to let it get over that top, and then you have to find a pattern that you're comfortable with. Okay, that's the only way that you can really play that. Other than that, I really don't see any way that you're going to be able to get involved in this. It just doesn't make any sense. So it's too far off of this in too short period of time. One little piece of news comes out and it'll just get hammered. So NIO, I keep getting asked about. And don't get me wrong, if I was in this, right, depending upon where I'm in it, I would stay in it. I don't see a reason to panic sell it, but I'm just saying, like, it's very hard to tell you to chase something from 250 to 320, 317. Let's call it 320. It just doesn't make sense to do. It's not a good use of your capital at this point. So maybe if it pulls back, or you're going to use like a 15-minute setup or something like that to day trade it, that might make sense. But just be really careful chasing anything in this market. And we're going to go over the indexes at the end of this. So NIO, I would be using anything I could to be getting out of this. Here's your point of control. Here's a resistance point. Here's your 200-day moving average. Here's your 50. Like, I don't know what you need to see to determine that you should not be in this. You have a massive problem going on with China right now and what they're doing with companies, right? So why would I want to even be involved with this name? Candidly, I can't think of one good reason. I don't know that I don't know what China's going to do with these companies, but my sense is that they're going to do something that gets them out of U.S. regulatory. So they're going to get them to do something, right? That they're not going to have to be responsible to report to the U.S. the same way. And I don't know that that's going to fly anymore with people. So I'm not a big proponent of buying these stocks right now. There's way better names. And frankly, this could be ABC stock. It wouldn't matter. If I had this downward trend line that I'm respecting, like here, look, I'm constantly respecting this the whole way, right? And I broke here and now I'm down here. Like, I can't even hold the 200. So to me, it's not something I want to be involved in. If I truly wanted to be involved in this, I need to get back through 46. I need to get through the 200, the 50, the 8, the 21, the point of control. Like, it's got a lot of work to do in these $3 range. And I would just argue that that there's better trades out there. NTLA, Intelli Therapeutics, I just wanted to cover very quickly. I like what's going on here. I don't like that I don't have volume. What I would just argue is, yes, you had this huge run up and then you sold down, but we did respect this today. And I think you have to look at stocks that have gapped up that are not breaking into that gap right now. Like, if you're not breaking into that gap right now, wow, right? I mean, today was it was one of the first big sell-offs we've had in a while. It was actually like a real sell-off, right? We haven't had those in some time. I actually like them because they're great trading markets, and today was a great trading day. So, but you see this level, right? Like, you see how you're not breaking that level? Like, that's just awesome. Like, if you're not going to break that today, when are you going to break that? So it's going to have to be some kind of news event, right? So maybe it's earnings that aren't going to be great. I don't know, but I like this. And I could see why somebody would be interested. I just want to see volume and above the 8-day. And that's what I would look for before I got involved. And we do have more stocks tonight than we usually do, just FYI. So this was one that I traded today. And this was pretty evident what was going to happen. And we went over this in the pre-market call as well, too. I do a pre-market call from 8:45 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. So you might want to subscribe and click all notifications so that you're notified of when they go live. So you just click on the button. And we do Q&A in the morning. So people like it, and you can watch the replay later. But you see how you're forming, like, look, this is what I was concerned about. I was forming a bear flag. Here's your flagpole. Here's your flag, right? You can see this. I mean, I'm not really showing you anything that you don't see, right? I mean, everybody sees that, right? So you see that little base. Well, as soon as I broke that, that was it. That's all I needed to see. It was on. Trade on, right? Like, that was pretty clear. And then we ran to this. That's exactly what I wanted to say, right? So that worked out absolutely perfect. And I would argue that that's something where now you have to see what happens, right? So you've been on this downward trend since February. We tried here and failed. We tried here and failed. We tried here and failed. Fourth time's the charm? Maybe. Maybe not. I find it very interesting that I've had this line, been using the same line for a very long time, and I can't close above it, right? Now, when I closed it, because I'll just walk you through my trade, and I can walk you through it this way so that you can actually see it. So, right, We see that 192.36 level here. So, okay, here's 192. Look, as soon as you broke above that, see how it flips? This flips from what? Support, right? This was resistance, couldn't get above it. Support, that was it. It was gone. I mean, it's a very simple trade, but I knew that this level up here, like, let me see if I can show you this level. No, it's not what I want. I'm going to do this on the daily again. So I knew when we got to this level that we were going to have an issue. And so when I got to it, I just right into it when it popped, I just sold right into it. I didn't even blink an eye. To me, it was a trade, and I don't want to be holding things that run into a resistance. Now, some people would argue, well, you missed all this. I'm okay with that, right? I mean, if I'm in down here, and then by the end of the day, on a simple day, I'm just recouping all that to 2.0, I think it was like 210 or something like that. I'm fine with it. I don't need the last bit of move, right? You could come in tomorrow and this could be down $8 for no reason, right? And it doesn't mean that it's broken. It just means that we went up 12% today. So, you know, it's not something that I want to run into. And I don't know what we're doing after hours, just bouncing around. But, you know, just as fast as these go up in this kind of environment, they can go down. So for me on that trade, that was relatively simple. Very simple decision. And I have other VAX stocks, so I don't want to just keep increasing the VAX risk in case something does happen. Just sometimes it's good just to lock things in. So here you are with NVDA, and everyone's all excited because they're splitting and they want to buy it. And I think we're even up after hours. Look, this could very well go higher. Okay. Here's the real issue with it that you need to take into account. Okay. In my opinion, here's what you need to take into account. Now, this could obviously gap up or down tomorrow. No one has a clue. What I would argue, okay, is so far, this was the high of the day. 761.59. You're going to split. Obviously, these numbers are going to change. Your 8 and your 21 are here. Maybe you get through this, right? That's 30 points. Maybe you do, right? After the split, you won't need 30 points. So, but you still have this wedge here. So I don't really see the need to rush into this. I think it was a great trade today to buy, right? And trade it. Congratulations if that's what you did. But I don't see a need to rush into this. You have a lot of resistance up here now, and you have a lot of people that want to get out of it. And the other thing I would say is if you look at something like a Tesla, the first time that a stock actually splits, when it starts getting weaker, it becomes a real problem for the stock. It becomes a real problem for the company. So just keep that in mind. So, and the reason for that, let me expand on that. So the reason is because all of a sudden at 5-to-1, if it drops 5%, it's a 25% drop that you're not used to. And so it affects people's equities faster, right? If it drops, like what did we go up today? 4%. Well, if you go up 4% tomorrow, it's a 20% move. If it goes down 4% tomorrow, it's a 20% move, right? So if and when it does start having those types of gyrations, that's when people's accounts start getting affected. And some people are not comfortable with that and they just blow it out. Not even the whole position. Maybe they take it down, but it still adds to pressure. So Qualcomm, I'm just going to cover very quickly. You cannot get above this VWAP. You cannot get above the 21 and the 200 and the 50s right here. I understand you came down and you're sitting in the midst of all this, but I really would not go near this. Look. And I just thought that this was worth mentioning. You broke this and now you're trying to stay in it. You have a lot of work to do here. So I would not be chasing this. This one just cannot, I keep showing this level and I don't even need the moving averages. See this major trend line? Okay. This is your major trend line. So I hit it. I can't get in. I hit it. I hit it. I've hit it. What's my hurry here? I do like the fact that I have a bullish engulfing and the low is the open of the day, right? But I'm in no hurry here. I absolutely zero hurry to buy this. Not only that, but now this is, let's call this negated, and now I have this up here. So now I'm even going to have another issue, right? So you see what's going to happen to me? Like here, look. So now I'm even going to have another issue before I can even get to that. So this is not appealing. You can trade it. I mean, you could trade it and make money. What was the trading range today? 15 points. I mean, it's a great trading vehicle. You know, they do this a lot, right? I mean, they did it here. They gap it down, right? They gap it down. I mean, that's how that's how I would play it. I would just wait for the gap downs if I wanted to be in this. But I think you have some issues up here on SE, and it's not something I'm going to run into. This space, look, this can go, and I'll throw in the moving averages, but when this issue prices, and I don't know if it priced today, and that's why we moved. Frankly, I'm behind on my news. It just was a very busy day trading today. So if I go here and look, here's your 200-day, here's your 50. This is not something that I'm running right into, like at all. But if this prices and holds here, right? And I'm not sure, as I record this, I'm not sure if it did price or not yet. For the secondary, when that's done and you're at this level, you could see buying and you could see this move. Now, I don't think you're going back to here anytime soon, but you sure could get up back into the 40s. So this might not be done, and I'd watch these levels. This is the point of control as well, which is very interesting. That's just right where you closed. So you have the point of control in here. You have the 50-day and the 200. You have a lot going on in there. That could really move. So Tesla, I mean, hanging on there by a thread, broke the 50, broke the 200, closed at the high of the day. But guess what? You're still below the major trend line. You know, one rally does not really, make the market. Again, if you bought it and you bought options or you bought it for a day trade today, great. You made 20 points. Trade it. But to think that this is going to be something that you need to be in for the next couple months when I'm below point of control, I'm below VWAP, my entire volume shelf is right here, right? I can't keep over these levels. And as I'm waiting to get over these levels, they're getting worse and worse, right? The 50's dropping, the 200's starting to turn, the 8 crossed the 21. So just keep that in mind. Until you see some kind of news event, what's the point, right? So in regards to Twilio, very quick, here's your point of control, and here's your 8 and your 21. What is my hurry here? None, okay? And I just want to cover this. Just take your time with this one. There is no hurry to be jumping into this right now. No one's paying attention to it. There's no volume, but I did want to cover it. So in regards to win, okay, and a lot of people looking at these today, what is the hurry here, right? Like, I don't see anything. Like, you want to bottom fish, go for it. But to me, this is setting up. Here, let's get rid of this. This is from that candlestick video. Let me get rid of these real quick. Okay. So what I see is a stock that's trying to bottom. Now, is there a trade here? Absolutely, there's a trade. There's probably a trade to this level again, right? If I get up over this with this kind of volume, right? So if that happens tomorrow, yeah, there's absolutely a trade here. And it's one that I may actually do because I like this because I'm right near the support level and I could get in here and then see what's going to happen. But I'm not at a point where I'm going to think that all of a sudden it's back and that it's going to, you know what I mean? That it's going to run and continue that trend. I don't think it's going to do that. So, that's something to just consider. And, and we'll see. But I don't think it's something that you have to rush into here. So let's go here with ZI and just finish that. That's kind of my point here with some of these. And maybe I'm trying to get that across. But what's that? There's no hurry here. Like yes, there's a trade here. But there's 100 trades like this. And they're only for pennies. They're not for these big moves. And I would argue that if you're going to be trading for pennies, you better be fast. If you're not fast you're dead. And everybody knows that because we've all held stocks that we never sold before. So ZI, just wanted to cover very quickly. You're breaking down here. Okay, see this breakdown? And you're forming a bear flag. And on top of that, you are bouncing off point of control and VWAP, but you're not able to break, and the 8 and the 21 are crossing. So I don't see a hurry here. Every time we get to this level, what happens? Right? Rejection. So maybe I get back to this 54 level, but I just don't think it's worth the risk right now. Now, ZM was very interesting. Now, they had earnings. Oh, no, it was wasn't earnings today, was it? No, it was that merger that they did, right? So hold on one second. Let's clean this up. I'm absolutely fried from today from trading so much. So what's interesting about this one is this. Look where you hit. And then you bounced right off of it. So there are institutions out there buying this despite the all-stock merger. I remember that part. It was definitely an all-stock merger. But when you start thinking about it that way, that shows support. And that's exactly what you're looking for. You want to see support, and you have it. So let's see what happens with this. I'm kind of surprised that we had that kind of... I really am. I'm really surprised by that we had that kind of like support today. Usually you don't have that. You just constantly sell down. I don't know if the deal's dilutive or accretive. Someone else probably has done that work already. You have this trend line you have to worry about. I don't know if you're going to get through all this or this bear flag that's been forming is going to continue. I just know that it's something that I found very interesting and really wanted to cover because this does show that institutions did step up and buy that today. So maybe if it gets back down there again, maybe there's a little trade there. But when you look at what I'm showing you on the screen right now, you should not be looking at that and going, I'm going back over 400, right? You can't be thinking that way. You have to be looking at that and going, okay, maybe I'm getting to, maybe I'm getting back to this. But I have this trend right here. So there's some issues there. So that's it as far as stocks. I just find that very interesting that it held in this tape. I just want to go through this very quickly, just the indexes so that we're all on the same page and people have an understanding. Okay. Yes, I have a hammer, but I didn't close below I didn't fill the gap, and I closed right on my support line. Right? This is the support line I was looking at. I closed right above it, and I closed right below the 21-day moving average. I would think that I could fill the gap possibly, right? And I think these are short-term trades, frankly. But I could possibly close the gap if I got over this and go higher. But this broke this trend line. So until I'm back over this trend line, this trend's busted. At best, I'm in a basing situation. Okay, so you have to start thinking like that. Remember when you were trading and you were getting chopped up? That's this. That's when this is trying to find a range. This is when you get chopped up. So this is when you sell into rips and you buy into your dips, right? Because if I'm going to be basing, then that's what you want to do. You want to be selling, buying, selling, right? Because until I'm back in this, right now I'm trendless. This broke. I have 3 days to 5 days to hop back over this line. Usually it's 3, right? And this line's going to start pulling away, and then I'm going to base. And you just have to take that into account. Now, if I look at the IWM, this 211 line, 211.79 is what I had. It closed at 211.81. I mean, that was my line. But look, let's just go through this. This blue line, okay? Let me get rid of this. But this blue line, that is your major trend line on the Russell 2000. You closed below it. Okay. I mean, you have closed below it. You are at this support line, but you closed below this blue trend line and you're sitting right at the 200-day, right? So I think you're going to test the 200-day. I don't think this is over. I don't know anyone that's going to be looking at that long-legged doji, right, and saying, oh, good, everything's resolved. All I did was fill the gap. Right? That's all I did today. If you look at this, and believe me, I looked at it because it was one that it was out of all the indexes, it was the one to short. But I mean, this was a pretty classic place to put on a short position, right? I mean, here's your close. That's where I got to. That was it. So all I did was fill the gap in on IWM. So there was no reason to, get all giddy, just because we didn't absolutely collapse. I think we need to raise our standards a little bit. So here's the SPY. Okay, we went to the 50-day and we held. Look at the volume. I do like the volume. I do like that you're seeing a spike like that. I want to see another one, right? And just wash people out. And is this usually where you buy? Yes. So maybe we are basing, but at best you're basing, right? You're not ready to resume going higher. And let's see what happens. I mean, we stayed right on that line and we held. So, but nothing is resolved yet. I mean, you can't really, again, you cannot be looking at this stuff and thinking like, here's the SOX, still below the 50-day. I tested volume by price VWAP. Does that look like anything's resolved? Look at these today. I wasn't even asked about them. That's how I know how Apple and Microsoft closed, right? Right gap, right down. So we're respecting this. This is the XLK. This is the technology sector of the S&P. Hits here, breaks. Hits here, breaks. Hits there, breaks. No reason to be rushing into these names. None whatsoever. So take your time, be very selective, and use your stops and think short term for right now. That's it. As always, please do me a favor and hit the like button. I'm trying to get in front of as many people as humanly possible to show them what it takes to be truly successful at trading. Thank you very much.